Hey guys, it's Taulbee here. So in the last video, I missed a lot, as in I didn't record a last video, except for the one you see where I took off the covers. But as you can see, I've done more of the engine because I'm me and I always don't record stuff. Currently taking the clutch off, but I've got to get a socket for that, so I should be able to show everything else. I should record it. But today I wanted to focus on the cylinder head of the bike. This video is actually all about valve lapping. So valve lapping is something you do to ensure that the seat of the valve that goes around in the cylinder head there rubs into the cylinder head and forms to it so that there's no leaking. You will need a few specialty tools to complete this job. So let's go into exactly what you're gonna need. So first and most obvious stuff is valve grinding compound. This stuff is basically like sandpaper. It's very gritty. I got both of these things at a AutoZone, so any auto parts store should have it. This is a valve lapper. So this is much in the same vein. Just got it at AutoZone or Advanced Auto Parts. I don't remember. They're basically the same thing. So what these are, they're just suction cups, and they go to your valve so that you can spin the valve by hand. Some people do this by drill. That is the much quicker method, but I have the hand tool version now. You also need a magnet for your valve buckets, and you will need a valve compressor. I'm not sure where you can get these, but this is a definite will need for the process. And some kind of cleaner. This is electrical parts cleaner, which is basically just ether or starting fluid. So if you've got either one of them, that will probably do. So let's start with what you need to do to remove the valves, because that is the first step. You have to remove your valves. So the first thing you need to do is organize. So you want to know this is valve 1, this is valve 2, 3, and 4. Put these in a bag, mark on the cylinder head which is which so that you don't get confused, and you put your valves, the shim under it, and everything in the correct position when you reinstall it. I'm not doing this, however, because I'm putting new valves in, so I need new clearances anyway, and my friend sort of messed up and didn't remember where he put the different things, so I'm already screwed going into this. So, also some shop towels is something you'll need. I've already got a bucket out here. This bucket has no shim in it, but sometimes the shim will come out with them. This one didn't. So you'll take your magnet, and here's the only bucket I've got in. Place it on the top of it, pull up, comes off. Check the underside of it, because sometimes the valve shim will come off with it. This one, it didn't. Stayed on the valve. And remove your shim. Remember to label these, so I'd write on the paper here or something. And this red stuff is assembly lube. You will also need assembly lube. I know, more specialty parts. So the next tool you'll need, and hopefully the last, is just a small pair of needle nose pliers. The smaller the better, as long as you're not crazy with it. And that's because there's 2 retainer clips down in there. They may be hard to see, I'm trying to get you close, but they clamp around the valve. Let's begin removing all 4 of these valves, intake and the exhaust. You can see mine were even labeled here, but again, he forgot to check them, so it's really quite pointless. So what you need to do is you need to get your puller, and this circular end goes on the valve seat, which is going to allow you to get to the valve stem because it's going to compress it. This end will go on the same valve, but on the cylinder head side. So cylinder head here, the bottom of the valve here, the top of the valve needs to go on this. Now this is kind of like a universal tool. This is not a specific Suzuki tool for this bike. So this thing is actually a little too thick to get in there to the smaller valves. So what you can do is, if you're in a very similar situation, is get yourself just a nut that allows the stem to go through, and then I'll put that on the nut to give me a little bit of an extension. You might not have this problem. You may have some different problem. I don't know. So line up the top, get it on the valve there. And I'm gonna come down here. A couple different ways of using this tool. The way I use it, I think, is actually incorrect, but I like the way it works. So I push mine all the way in before I start. Reline. Okay. I'm just gonna twist this to my valve. Now I want to get it centered on the valve to the best of my ability. Now I'll come up here, ensure that it's on the seat good. Okay, all's looking well. Now we begin to tighten the tool. If you feel way too much resistance or something, of course stop, something's wrong. And you should be able to see the two retainer pins, the set in there. So to put them in, you get pliers, but to take them out, just get you a magnet close. Got one of them there. Let's see if I can get the other side and get the other out. This is easily the worst part of this job. Let's see if I can turn it upside down. Aha! I was about to turn it. So now there's no retainers holding on to that valve right there. We'll go back to our tool and we'll begin to loosen it. Okay, the tool's now loose. I'm just gonna slide it off the cylinder head. Let's take a look at that valve. Here's what we wanted. You can see that little thing, I forget what it's called, and the spring come out. Set it right there. And the valve's down there in its seat. And that's, you want to lubricate when you're grinding. You want to lubricate that valve stem. Now just push on the valve. And remove it. I'm going to take a towel. And now you might have to clean carbon off with a wire brush from the valve, but this valve has never ran in an engine before, so it's kind of pointless for my application. So now we're going to go ahead and lap this valve. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get any assembly lube off the seat right there, and right there is what we're going to be grinding on. Right now, let's just give it a little bit of shot of electronic parts cleaner. All right, now we're going to find the appropriate valve suction cup. So let's open up our lapping compound. Now you don't need much of this stuff, and a lock came out to rub it off. I just want to put a little bit in my finger. Now remember, stuff's very grainy. Do not get it in your engine. You know we're putting it in the engine. Now you can see where they've lapped it from the factory, but not to my cylinder head. It's out, so run it around the rim. Yeah, I'm just gonna put a drop of assembly lube on my desk here. So I probably don't even need it because of how much is in my valve, but you are gonna be spinning the valve, so just some assembly lube. Make sure not on that lip, because remember, I'm gonna keep that lip lappable, and then lap the valve into the seat. There you go. Okay. Clean residue off you. Now we're going to take our suction cup and just spin it. It's going to start off very gritty, and then it's going to get less gritty. And make sure you pull up on it every so often. The grit does need to move around a tad. And this tool ain't the best. Bring down a little bit, not very much. You can hear it getting smoother now. Okay, so it's now sounding very mellow. There's no perfect way to know when you're done. It's just kind of by sound. Alright, we haven't had any noise change in a very long time, so I'm going to assume this valve is done. It was a very gritty paste. Now a lot better. I'm going to take a paper towel, and we're going to remove all of that lapping compound from the valve. Clean all of the lapping compound, which one this is, and it's important you keep up with which valve is which now, as they are lapped to the cylinder head. And I'm not going to show it just to bore you. I'm going to go off camera and do the rest, but the process is the exact same for all the rest of them. So now I've got all my valves out, and I'm going to wash it with some Awesome, wherever it is. It's just a cleaning agent I use, and then I'm going to wash this head up and use this white diamond aluminum polishing compound and see how good this thing will clean up. Okay guys, so I just washed the cylinder head up pretty good. Put the polishing compound on it. It didn't come out great like I wanted it to, and I've got it by the heater here to dry out some water. As you can see, it didn't come out great, but it looks a lot better. Happy with that mating surface there. Even the head's pretty clean. Could obviously be a lot worse. So you can see that assembly lube really didn't want to come out, which not too torn up about. Thank you guys for watching.